Alright guys, so today we're going to talk about the boom bow. Is it good? Oh yeah! Oh yeah! Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh my god. This weapon. Holy cow, where do I even start? Alright guys, so we are going to talk about the perk loadout. We're going to talk about the multiple different character builds that you can use for this gun. All the top tier, most crazy slamming builds that you can use with this insane weapon. Man, you're in for a big video, guys. I did extensive gameplay on this one. And holy cow, what a weapon. This is maybe the most fun weapon in the entire game. This weapon, I can't say that I like this better than the Terminator, but this is like my new favorite gun, man. This weapon is just so awesome. This entire video is shot with a 106, fighting against high-level enemies and absolutely devastating everything. I mean, I was so confident that this was going to be a grand slam, and man, am I happy to announce that this weapon is everything that you hoped it would be. All right, guys, if you love what we're doing here, if you love the channel, please use our supporter creator code. It helps us out so much to be able to do what we're doing here. So thank you so much for the support, guys. You guys are awesome. All right, let's get right into it. Okay, so we're gonna start out with we're gonna start out with the perks on this guy. So this is the this is my favorite version of this gun. This is the crit rate, crit damage, damage, and energy. The reason why I like this gun is because the nature of the combat with this weapon is you are going to be moving around the battlefield and shooting into crowds. You're going to be aiming at their feet or at their lower body so that you don't miss, so that it goes and hits into the ground and then hits an area. When you're aiming at the ground, it's a very precise AoE effect. You can really control where the AoE is going to go off. So a lot of time you'll see me moving around the battlefield and actually jumping and shooting down into enemies, moving around a perimeter, just pounding away at the enemy forces. I'll sometimes jump right in over top. One of my favorite tactics with this gun is to actually jump over top of a riot while knocking. You knock your arrow, you jump over top, and then you just go straight down and boom, like straight down into them and hits them, knocks them flying on the ground, and then you just go and execute, just bam, bam, before they even get up. You just smash them right in the face multiple times. Any enemies that try to cluster around you, you just keep moving in a circle and then jumping and shooting into the area, just pow, pow, pow. It was wild, man. It was wild. We did this in one of the worst case scenario matches with exploding death burst. So you had to be really careful, even maneuvering through enemies when shooting down into crowds, not to hit a bunch of regular husks, igniting the death burst and getting yourself killed. And even with that hindrance, that looming over us, this weapon was so nuts that we just could not be stopped. We could not be stopped. We just walked over the enemy over and over and over. It was wild. It was so much fun. It was so powerful. Just an absolute treat. So the reason why I like this perk loadout the best is simply because this one is the one that's going to make the biggest impact on the majority of the enemies that you're fighting, because you're not gunning for a specific target. You're just hitting lots of enemies. You want to make sure that you kill the elementals. In this case, we were fighting against nature enemies the entire time. We were doing a high-level nature map. We picked a really hard one, and man, oh man, it was just amazing. It was amazing. I used a physical version of this for the majority of the characters to really get a feel for how the gameplay worked as a physical, because physical does more damage, you know, on flat damage. It does like damage and headshot. It really raises your damage meters up by quite a lot. But of course, once you shoot at an elemental enemy, you don't get any, there's no damage bonus on that weapon. So you end up, losing a lot of power. But it was incredibly effective against everyone. The physical damage was absolutely devastating. And then once I went to Survivalist Jonesy, I burnt up my last physical weapon, and I pulled out my energy weapon. And the energy weapon, oh man, it roasted. It roasted the nature enemies even harder. The downside is that it makes it a little bit harder to kill blasters, right? Blasters were the main target for physical. Once you see them, you have that advantage. You're going to do a lot of damage. You're going to hit them. You're going to hit everything around them. So physical was a really, really good choice too. There is no right or wrong when it comes to energy or physical or any element really. You take the one that's going to do what you want it to do. Whatever you value, whichever targets you value killing the most, you just take that one. Of course, you want to take between physical and energy because you only have one of these. We're not going to get any more. Probably not for a year, unless we get really lucky in the birthday llamas. Not likely. So because you only have one of this, you want to make sure that it's Shadow Shard, because if you use it at high level play, you want those Sunbeam, right? You want to really hit hard. Also, lowering the fire rate, as meaningless as that is, it's even more meaningless on this weapon because the fire rate doesn't matter at all, right? Getting a faster fire rate is pointless because this thing already has basically an infinite fire rate. The limiting factor for this gun on how fast this bow can actually fire is limited to your reload time. If you look at the stats, we've got a 38% chance to crit. Excellent. It's a 10% base. It's nothing spectacular. You're going to crit over a third of your shots. 420% bonus damage whenever you do a crit. Excellent. As a maxed out character, I'm doing 60,000 for a shot, 120. So double if you hit a headshot. Although I don't recommend headshots. For the most part, you want to aim at their feet. The shots are, if you aim at their feet, you'll never miss, ever. You miss one shot, all the good graces you got for hitting your double headshot is out the window. And also, the weapon seems to have a lot of different variances in the damage, and the majority of the damage seems to come from the explosion hitting everything. I've shot things directly in the face and did almost nothing. Now, that could have just been a bad luck streak of no crits, but I just felt like overall I was doing a lot more damage aiming for the feet and the lower body instead of aiming for the head. Heads is always nice when you hit those headshots. I did lots and lots of them. It was just fantastic. Such a fun, like lining that up, kind of moving across, ripping the shot. Super accurate. You don't have to lead your shots like barely at all. Even though it is a projectile, it goes real fast. So you're gonna hit your shots like almost like instantly. There's no real bullet drop on this one. Like, even though it's a bow, wherever the aimer says that it's going to shoot is where it's going to shoot. So I thought that was really, really cool. You don't have to contest with bullet drop. You just hold it back for as long as it takes to get the power that you want to have for this weapon, and then you just go completely nuts. Just pow, bam, bam. And if you don't need any power, and if you just want to just do it, just lob, just basically as many shots as you can without prepping, without pulling back and actually getting that range, you can just like drop shots off the front of your bow and just kill everything. A lot of time I'm just like spamming the trigger, just blah blah blah, just dropping arrows into the ground, exploding and killing all the little guys that are underneath me. It was just absolutely fantastic. So there's lots of strategy, there's lots of tactics with this one. The bow has incredibly 25,000 range, so you can hit shots from so far away you can barely even see the enemies. You get these little tiny guys on the horizon, you just see me ripping back. Boom! And it's like, get smashed, bro. Get smashed. So it is just, oh my god, I love this gun so much. So much. Oh. Okay, so just as a little bonus sequence, we're gonna talk about some special notes, some things that are noteworthy about the boom bow. that didn't make my cut for, you know, what I wanted to use. But I want to kind of like talk about a little bit, because there are some interesting things about the boom bow. Now, I decided to go with a full-on crit build. Crit rate, crit damage, damage, and energy. I would have went with another crit damage had they have let me. Now, the other options that you have that are perfectly viable but not my preference is turning this damage into a crit rate perk. Now, turning this damage into a crit rate perk is going to turn this weapon into a 51% chance to crit. So it's not great. Putting that extra crit rate is not going to get you another, you know, 30 or over 30 crit chance, because critical rating has a diminishing return on its value. You know, the more crits you get, the less crit is worth. So the first 30 crit rate took you from 10% crit chance to 38% crit chance. So you lost 2% in the equation. The second 30 is not going to give you the same 28% chance to crit. That would put you at, well over 60. But realistically, all you're going to get for your 30 crit rate is another 13. You're going to get 13 instead of 28. So the crit rate it's not great. It's not worth a ton. But I mean, having over 50% crit chance is pretty, you know, it's pretty strong, pretty good. You are going to lose 30% of your damage, your base damage, for that extra 13% crit chance. But it's not bad. It's not a bad choice. Your weapon will look basically exactly like the Obliterator, which is okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Frankly, though, if I had a damage perk on my Obliterator, I would take that second crit rating off of there, and I would turn it into damage instantly. There was no question. So you have that's one option. Another option that you have, you can go with damage in every single slot. So you can put damage here, damage here, damage here, and damage here. 4 damage and energy. Now the advantage of this is that you're going to do way more consistent damage to the small enemies, right? So if you're focusing on killing small enemies primarily anyway, you know, you're not using this to kill mist monsters, which generally you're not, right? This is mostly for wiping out groups of enemies. You can aim for big guys, but mostly you're going to be killing, you know, smaller enemies. You can take out huskies, and the extra crit rate is nice. You know, the crit damage does more overall damage over time. Crit will do more damage, but anytime that you shoot a small group of enemies and the little guys live because you didn't crit, you know, that you kind of lose the magic of the crit build. You realize the flaws in the crit build. So having a really, really consistent high base damage for this weapon is a totally acceptable, totally viable strategy. Just put all damage and use this as a wave clear. Use it to kill tons and tons of small enemies, and it will be 100% consistent all the time. So that's incredible. That is definitely one option. Then you can go with energy, or you can go with physical. So you do have some different options for this weapon. You don't have to go with the crit, you know. I definitely don't recommend headshot. Headshot is super pointless because of, you know, this weapon is, you got to pull back all the way to get pinpoint accuracy, and that's too much time. It takes too much time to pull back all the way all the time. So you're not going to hit those headshots. And even if you do pull back the whole way, if enemies are moving or whatever, this is a projectile weapon, so the headshot is not really the best. So I think headshot is pretty trash. Yeah, like garbage. Like, I don't like it at all. I would never use it. Impact is another one of those things that I would never use with this weapon. There's no reason to put impact. So this weapon already has tremendous impact. You can knock riots around no problem. I don't see the point of actually putting more impact on this weapon. Damage to mist monsters and bosses is an option, just not a good one. If I wanted to do damage to mist monsters and bosses, I would just stick heavily with the crit damage. the using the crit build is going to give you the most overall effectiveness, which against big targets is overall going to give you the most effect. But as you will see in the video, fighting big giant smashers with a boom bow is not terribly effective. This is not a weapon for single target focus fire damage. This is a area of effect. This is basically like, this is a VAShen version of a rocket launcher. You know, something that doesn't cost a ton of materials, doesn't eat up all your resources, something that lasts for a long time. You know, this is my jam, man. I love this weapon. So using it in that capacity, it just works a lot better. So I don't recommend using damage to afflicted targets either, because you don't want to plan on hitting things more than once, right? That's something that will only be effective against really large targets, and it just seems like a total waste to put that on there. Next, also because you're going to get rid of a crit damage, you know, giving up crit damage to get a damage to afflicted, not smart. This one here, damage to missed monsters and bosses, that is an option, but I would never use it. I think that, you know, giving up 6% damage to do damage to everything is worth it. I don't see why you'd want to, you know, be specifically tuned for bosses just for an extra 6% damage. I mean, that would have to be, you know, a much bigger number for me to actually consider using that. And of course, durability doesn't matter at all, because this weapon is already perfectly fine and lasts for a long time. So that is your perk overview of the different options that you actually have. There's some different kinds of, you know, weapons that you can work this into, and this, of course, being my favorite. All right, so let's get into the characters, because we have a ton of different characters that I use for this loadout, and we're going to go through each and every one, because man, we have some doozies, just smoking builds. So number one, the very first one that I tried out, this is the first thing that popped into my head, was Chromium Ramirez. You know, if this gun has an infinite fire rate, then the only thing holding you back is your reload. So naturally, let's take the 50% faster reload character. Every time you shoot this weapon, you reload 50% faster. We are obviously not utilizing the shield regeneration, because we're using the Blast from the Pack team perk, so we don't run with shields. So, but we also don't care, because it doesn't matter. We're not using this for the shield regeneration. We're using this for the magazine recovery. We need to get that fast reload and crush some faces. So reloads with an empty mag are 50% faster, and the shield regeneration doesn't matter to us. So she is absolutely crazy, guys. This character, it just allows you to unload. You can unload this bow so fast, just dumping shots into enemies. Just boom, 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 boom. What's up? All right, so now with the team perk as a whole, we're going with the Blast of the Past, because this gives us extra damage that you normally can't get with a sniper. Now, the Blast from the Past gives you 200% bonus health. So we're using this on every single build across the board, because that is huge. You have massive health. You're super hard to kill. You don't have any shields. That's the downside. And you also need to activate with 2 dinosaur heroes. So naturally, we took the only 2 that matters with a ranged character. We took Saurian Might, which is Raider Jonesy's skill. This gives you extra damage every 1 second. So every 1 second, it adds 3% of your current health to the damage of your next ranged weapon hit. Amazing. So as long, like, every if you're firing a shot every second, it's just like, line it up, man. Here's the damage. It's just like pure extra damage. If you have 1,000,000 health, that's 30,000 bonus damage on your next hit. I mean, on a weapon that does 60,000 damage, that's like a 33% damage bonus. It's just insane. And it's virtually on every shot. With this build, you're going to be firing faster than 1 per second. So it's going to be every other shot. But it's just crazy. Like, it's crazy. This character is just amazing. Raider Jonesy, man. Next, we have Prehistoric Izza packing Saurian Hide. While your shield is depleted, which is all the time using the Blast from the Past build, you get an increased armor by 33. 33 bonus armor. It's going to reduce the damage you take to your shields and to your health, making this an absolute amazing bonus to to add survival to this crazy damage build. Because you're not going to have a ton of healing, you need to make sure that you don't take a ton of damage. Then we have Quickscope. This is Redline Ramirez. She is an amazing character that gives you an extra 17% sniper damage. Obviously, perfect for a sniper. This is a sniper rifle, despite it looking like a bow and using shotgun ammo. It is, I assure you, it is very much a sniper rifle. So 17% sniper damage is incredible. And then we've got Raider Jonesy rocking the Sure Shot perk. This gives your sniper critical damage an increase by 75%. So when you get those crits are big, nasty, awesome character. And last but not least, of course, we have Survivalist Jonesy. You can't go anywhere without the Survivalist skill. Eliminations heal you for 39 base health every free 3 seconds. Duration refreshes every time you get an additional elimination. So as long as you keep killing every single second, you're going to get health. Just constantly regenerating. You just got to make sure you keep on killing, and every second you will just keep on boosting your health back up, allowing you to recover and maintain that high damage bonus and high survivability. So absolutely crazy. This character was ideal for getting up close and personal, getting really in the hot zone, because that way you could just you don't have to pull the bow back. You just have to just grab and release, just constantly dumping arrows off the end, just boom, just rapid, bang, constantly. Every 0.65 seconds, you're dropping an arrow off of that weapon. So just absolutely incredible character. Super fun, super effective. One of the best builds that you're going to use with the boom bow for sure. All right, so the next build that we went with was Raider Jonesy. Now, Raider Jonesy is obviously he's the obvious choice for a sniper character. He does 225% bonus damage with his Sure Shot plus Commander perk. Just holy cow, man. If you crit with this guy, everything dies, man. Everything dies. Holy moly, this guy is nasty. Just a beast character. So, having taken Chromium Ramirez out of the tree, we're still rocking Saurian Might with Rex Jonesy. We're still rocking Saurian Hide with Prehistoric Izza. We are still rocking Quickscope with Redline Ramirez. And we're still rocking Survivalist with Survivalist Jonesy. We did, however, add Locked and Reloaded into the fray. This is Skull Trooper Jonesy's ability. After reloading, increases your weapon damage by 15% for 5 seconds. Switching weapons removes the buff. So basically, every time you reload your weapon, which is after every shot, you're going to get a 15% damage bonus for the next 5 seconds. So as long as you shoot something within 5 seconds of reloading, yeah, you're rocking a whole pile of extra damage. So this is officially the highest damage per shot that you can possibly do on this build. Locked and Reloaded, rocking Raider Jonesy in the Commander. You got Redline Ramirez in the snipe for the extra sniper damage. Saurian Might giving you huge damage boosts as long as your health is high, and Survivalist making sure your health is high. This guy was one of the most fun for me, one of the most impressive offensively. As good as Chromium Ramirez was, it felt really good to just delete everything with this guy. Like, the really cool thing is with this character, I was using a physical variant of the bow, and shooting at mist monsters, blasters specifically, was just a treat, because you would absolutely devastate them with just a couple shots, because he has such huge bonuses against physical enemies, and with having the biggest set of bonus damage on any character loadout that you can have for a sniper rifle, this was just one of the most godlike feelings that you're ever going to have with a boom bow. It is just crazy. This is ideal for sitting on high ground and just aiming into enemies and just hammering them like crazy. You can get in close no problem just because of the nature of the boom bow. It gives you a huge amount of mobility, a huge amount of ability to push enemies away from you and kill waves of enemies all at once. Just absolutely incredible, man. Incredible. The skill set that this has. I didn't even use any of the hero abilities for any of these characters just because I wanted to really showcase the power of the boom bow. But you have Warcry with this character, you have Shockwave with this character. Like you got all these tools at your disposal, and like the world is your oyster. It's just crazy. It's just crazy damage. Okay, so the next hero that I went through was Sub-Zero Zenith. Man, Sub-Zero Zenith, what a freak show this guy was. This guy is the weakest of all the different builds, both offensively and defensively. However, this guy is incredible. His Icy Shot is so powerful. When you are using Icy Shot Plus as the commander perk, the sniper crits, they hit whenever you get a crit, it freezes the enemy for 1.6 seconds, which is just insane. Because this gun can hit multiple enemies at once, allowing you to freeze multiple targets at once. You can stun lock a smasher virtually forever if you want to just get close to him and just pummel him mercilessly with shots. It also does an additional water affliction effect, dealing 21 base water damage per second after for 3 seconds. So every time you get a crit, you're getting a 3-second damage damage affliction on there. So it's just insane, man. With this gun, I was able to move around the battlefield and do what I would normally do, but with the addition of any time that I was dealing with bigger targets and I was shooting into the crowd, it was just freezing waves of enemies, completely shutting down their approach to the base, and often allowing me to just basically be like, oh, you know what, I'm just going to headshot this guy because he's standing with his face out, unable to move. Like, okay. Boom! And just like smash right in the face and just like execute the target with insane amounts of damage. Holy cow, man. This guy is crazy. If you are a fan of crowd control, really controlling the battlefield, and, shutting down the enemies, manipulating them with immobilization, this is definitely the character for you. This guy was an absolute delight to use. The main reason he's not my favorite is because I feel like he's sacrificing damage for utility, which I really didn't need. Okay, so that is Sub-Zero Zenith. We made one change to the build. We were using Blast from the past, same as before. We're using Saurian Might with Raider Jonesy, same as before. We're using Prehistoric Izza with Saurian Hide, same as before. We're using Redline Ramirez with Quickscope, same as before. We're using Raider Jonesy with Sure Shot, the same as before, or actually going back now. So what we've done here is we switched it up a little bit because we took Raider Jonesy out of the main slot. We put him into back into the support slot. What we had to do was remove Skull Trooper Jonesy from the equation because we don't have enough room for him. You got to have your dinos. You got to have your two primary sniper characters, so your sniper damage and your sniper crit damage. And of course, we can't give up Survivalist Jonesy with the Survivalist perk because we need that health regeneration. We need that survivability sustain. Just absolutely amazing. Just phenomenal. This loadout was really fun. I know a lot of people are going to like this as their #1 loadout just because it's so much fun to freeze enemies solid and then to get executions on them while they're completely immobilized and helpless. It's just fantastic. It's such a great character. So he's got another sniper on his arsenal, on his list. All right, so last but not least, we have the Immortal Sniper. The Immortal Sniper returns again. This is Survivalist Jonesy as a primary character with the Survivalist Plus ability in the Commander perk. Gives you 117 base health regeneration over 3 seconds every time you eliminate an enemy. You get your healing every second, and the duration refreshes with additional elimination. So Every 3 seconds, you're going to generate just insane. Basically, every second, you're going to regenerate about 10% of your health. About 30% of your health every time you kill a target. After 3 seconds, you know, you regenerate up. He's just insane. Like, this character is... he's basically my favorite character on every weapon set for everything you can possibly do, because he's unkillable. Now, with this loadout here, now, oh my god. As much as I love the Immortal Sniper, I would almost lean more towards Raider Jonesy. And the reason being is that sniping is a very safe, even when you're sniping at close range, you can always run away, right? You're a sniper. You can pick your fights. You can fight from close, you can fight from far, and if you're getting too much damage because you're fighting too much in the thick of the fight, you can always pull back and then use the sniper aspect of this weapon to take out the long range guards while your friends fill in your spot. And therefore, having the best survivability of any character in the game is not necessary, not on the boom bow. The boom bow is an incredible weapon that has such good crowd control and crowd manipulation and wave clearing power that you don't necessarily need to worry about taking damage or need to worry about dying. I died a few times, but honestly, most of them was highly avoidable. I was just being really reckless and having fun, and yeah, it's just an absolutely fantastic arsenal. So the survivalist skill, what we did is we took Survivalist Jonesy, we put him in the commander perk, we kept Blast from the Past, we kept Saurian Might and Saurian Hide, so Rex Jonesy and Prehistoric Izza. And what we did is we put in the 2 sniper characters, so Redline Ramirez with her quick scope, and Raider Jonesy with his sure shot, and then putting our Locked and Reloaded back in with Skull Trooper Jonesy, giving us that extra 15% damage bonus after a reload. So this character is actually quite strong. He's got 3 damage bonuses, 4 damage bonuses. You've got your Survivalist as your sustain, your stay in the battle, your take hits. Because this is a very aggressive character too, you want to decide what style of play you want to use. There is a huge variation ranging from, super fast reload for arrow spam to just mega crit shots with the rabbit, to crowd control with Sub-Zero, to god tier survivability using Survivalist. So depending on what your preferred fighting method is, you have just a huge arsenal, huge variation on how you can utilize the boom bow. And there is no good or there's no wrong way to do this. This is one of my favorite weapons in the history of the game. The boom bow is so insane. It's so powerful. It's so fun. It just gives the whole game a different dynamic, a different approach to fighting, and it's just amazing. Like I can't wait to see what kinds of hybrid builds I end up bringing to here, because we've got some great AR style snipers, and the boom bow is obviously insane. So we can utilize a lot of these together to really showcase a lot of fun strategies, not necessarily just using just the boom bow the entire time as a reinforcement weapon, as a wave clearing weapon, where then you pull out other weapons when you want to deal with certain situations. Like you'll see a lot of the time, I'll be pulling out my my Obliterator. I use the Obliterator a lot. I use it to take down buildings, to drop enemies that I then pull the boom bow out and finish. So you'll see me doing that a lot of the time. You'll see me using the boom bow to kill groups of enemies, and then I'll see shielders come up. I'll pull the Obliterator out and just start hammering down all of the enemies, just melting them like crazy. There's a lot of different ways that you can actually play with weapon combinations. One of my main ones is obviously the Obliterator, because you can use it for so many things, right? Shooting through shields, shooting through terrain, knocking down walls, killing enemies with its super long scope. It's got incredible range. I use it to scout sometimes. A lot of time I'll take a shot with the Obliterator, immediately switch to the boom bow, and then fire supplemental damage to clean up the area. So there's a lot of different ways that you can play with the boom bow as a primary weapon or as a support tool. Any which way you put it, this is one of the strongest weapons to ever be brought into Save the World ever. This is an incredible, well-made, well-designed, fun weapon. It is everything that is powerful and fun together in one extreme package. If you want to feel like a Rambo running around just melting people with exploding arrows, well, congratulations. It's your time to shine. Alright guys, I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, like and subscribe, leave a thumbs up, ring that little bell, and comment down below. Let me know what you think of this insane weapon. And let me know which of the builds that you preferred the most. I'm curious to see what the preference is between you know, how people like to build this character. I mean, maybe you came up with a completely different idea entirely than mine. And if you did, let me know so I can take a look and maybe check it out. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for the support on YouTube and on Twitch. You guys are the best. You know, we couldn't do this without you. Thank you so much for supporting the dream. You know, we're doing everything we can to survive and thrive on these platforms. And I couldn't be doing it without you guys and without your support. So if you ever want to come and hang out and support the community on Twitch, please come and hang out and ask me how you can play some games, because I play with my viewers all day, every day, and I would love to teach you our system to show you how I'm able to play with everybody evenly, and how everybody gets the opportunity to get help. Because I know that one of the biggest problems with this game is just lack of having people to play with, lack of having, you know, fun, active, enthusiastic players to play with who fight and build and don't AFK and don't trade. So if you want to be a part of something really, really special, if you want to be a part of the VASH Corps, come and hang out. Come and hang out every single day. We're here all day, every day. You know, over 18 hours a day, 7 days a week, doing 81-hour marathons on the weekends. So we are here for you always and forever. All right, guys. Have a good night. Have fun. And oh, yeah! Hey, guys. We're out here all day, every day, chasing our dream and trying to build this community. If you love what we're doing here and you support the dream, and if you have the means to actually donate and contribute to what we're doing here, I would really love for you guys to come out and support us on Patreon. It's the lifeblood of any content creator. It's the only reason that that we're staying afloat and able to do what we're doing here. And if you have the means, I would love for you to come out and support us and yeah, help us keep doing what we're doing. Thank you so much, guys.